This is kind of a hard video for me to make because it's me being extremely vulnerable and authentic and really being open about my own story, which I definitely have before. But what I really want to convey is how the angels saved my life. They absolutely did. Back in 2007, in April, I was walking out the garage door with 4 bottles of pills and a bottle of Southern Comfort. I was going to step into my little PT Cruiser, turn on the air conditioner, play my favorite music, which I already had on a CD, and take those substances and just check out. I had completely lost all hope. I had lost everything that I thought was important. I'd lost my job. I was about to lose my freedom. I'd lost my family. I'd lost my own identity. I had no friends. I didn't even have myself. I didn't even like me. And I didn't have any kind of family structure as far as mother or father. Brother has cerebral palsy, so mindset of about a 3-year-old, so nothing I could really discuss with him. Literally, I had nowhere to turn, no one to talk to. Definitely, if I reached out to people, they would talk to me, but there was just nothing they could do for me in that moment or in that state, and nobody that was really invested enough to hold my hand or anything of that nature. So as I was about to put my hand on the doorknob, I heard this little voice in the back of my head, and it said, it said 2 things to me. It said, number one, it said, your daughter's going to find you. And my daughter has always been my hero. She's always been so strong. She's always been so true to herself, so authentic, so vulnerable. She's always been herself, always. And she's always, she's definitely had hard times, but she's always just gotten right back up. And she's always been a huge fan of mine and always told me I was the best dad there ever was, and I didn't believe it. Don't know if I still believe it. But I'm a pretty good dad, though. But I knew I couldn't do that to her. Spirit always knows, our points. It always knows, who we are and what's important to us. So Spirit told me that, and that it was this little small voice in the back of my head, and it also said, you're going to miss out on something really cool. And it didn't elaborate, and I think it was best that it didn't elaborate because, if like Abraham Hicks says, Esther says, if she had known what was up ahead, she would have not done it. So, it's been an amazing joy of expansion and newness and freshness and consciousness that I wouldn't exchange for anything in the entire world. But I'm not going to say it was fun, or at least all of it. But the parts that weren't fun were the parts that I had a hang up about. They were the parts that I suffered through myself. That was nothing that was necessary from Spirit, but it was simply a part of my trauma, part of my healing that, I wasn't ready to let go of for a long time. I went on a tantric retreat this past June, and the one thing I could never, ever, ever forgive was the abuse that my stepfather purveyed upon my little brother who has cerebral palsy. That was the one thing I couldn't let go of. And I realized in that tantric retreat, and I'll probably be doing some more videos on Tantra sometime soon. I'm going to a diploma program next June. But I realized in that tantric retreat that I was ready to begin the process of starting to think about perhaps there was an ability for me to begin the journey of forgiving for that. So, Forgiveness can definitely be, or definitely is, it's not a destination. It's definitely first a decision, and then it's a road and a path that you take. And that broke something open in me when I realized that that was something that I could, finally let go of. Because one of the reasons I didn't want to let go of it was because I had so much guilt and shame over my not being there to protect him, my not stopping it, as though that's my responsibility and everything is my fault, which as a codependent caretaker, that's who we are. We think everything is our fault. It's our responsibility. We're supposed to heal everybody and take care of everybody, blah, blah, blah. That's our story, right? So everything is absolutely our fault. And it's because we just aren't good enough or smart enough or strong enough or whatever. All those shoulda, coulda, wouldas that we love to throw up in front of ourselves. But I just want to, I've gotten it from people before, and it's always shocked me. I've gotten it from people that really, really knew me. I've had people that asked me, so is this angel stuff, is it even really real? It is probably one of the most realist things to me because of my lived experiences. And I know in that moment that they were shouting at me and I could barely hear them. And I know they were screaming and just yelling so hard because they had so much work that they wanted to do through me. Not that I'm anything special, but they knew, it's when you get to those broken places. It's when you get to those parts where you're completely broken apart. And it is, unluckily, in this life, it is those parts where you're vulnerable, where your strength is. And they knew that in me. They not that there was anything special about me, but the special thing about me was that I had gotten to a place, the most brokenest place I'd ever been in my entire life. And it was the most wonderful gift I've ever been given. It was the most amazing experience that I don't wish on anybody, but that I am so grateful that I went through and that I'm on the other side of, because it's made me stronger. It's made me wiser. And it's made me know what truth is. It's made me know what love is. It's made me know what joy is. And now my journey, especially as a gay man, is being able to not lash out in really anger, when people come after the LGBTQIA plus community, or not come out in anger when people come at, the idea when I put something forward in my spiritual work and all I get is the Jesus saves and you're going to hell and all this other kind of stuff, which I'm getting a master's in religious studies near the end of it. So I'm pretty sure I've read more scripture and delved into it deeper than any Christian ever has, which the reason I do that is because there was no person named Jesus. There was a person named Yeshua. Jesus is a McDonaldized version of the Messiah that came to lead the Jewish people from a polytheistic religion to a monotheistic religion. That's who Yeshua was. And if you look back at the actual stories and the things that are written, all of it benefits an organization or a person. None of it benefits us. And that was supposedly what Yeshua came for. You have to really go back deep into the scriptures. You have to really look at what was actually said in the original texts, what was actually said and what was actually meant at that time. And regrettably, it wasn't meant for Gentiles. It was meant for the Jewish population. It was Paul who wanted to be the leader of a religion who decided to take it further. And I'm just going to say, I know so many people that are broken from religion, I'm sure that there are people out there who religion has really helped with, and that's amazing. But there's a lot of owning up that religion has to do. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of hurt. Centuries of hurt that if you go back through, if you get a master's in religious studies, you'll find out. But anyway, to go back to my original concept was to, you see how I diverted because I didn't want to talk about my own pain? Do you see that? Did you see me do this? So to get back, I want to really help people understand through my lived experience that for me, the angels are real. For me, the angels are there all the time. They were there for me in that moment. And even after I walked back up those steps, my first thing I did was I looked up the phone number for the Suicide Helpline, and I called it 4 times and was hung up on 4 times. All I said was, I need hope. And I heard a dial tone. And I dialed again, and the young lady answered. Second time, I need hope, dial tone. Happened 2 more times. And I just had enough of a thread where I went on Google, and I don't even know what I typed in because I was so drunk that night. I was already drunk. But I typed in, I think, Suicide Helpline, and I talked to a male nurse in some emergency room in Tennessee for probably 2.5 hours. Because this was like, wee hours of the morning. I guess nothing was really going on. And he helped me. I have no idea what his name is. I don't even know what hospital it was. I know it was in Tennessee. I know it was an emergency room, and I know it was a male nurse. That's all I know. And this would have been April of 2007. But just him, and it wasn't even really anything he said. He just was there, in that broken moment. He was there and he was fully present. And he didn't judge, and he didn't make any promises. He just was there, and it allowed me to step through it, and to just and the gift for me as that morning waned on and the alcohol wore off, and I realized where I was and what almost happened, and what had happened even with that still small voice is, still small voice was still just screaming at me, and it finally whispered through. It was a scream, I'm sure, but I only heard it as a whisper. And it said to me, if you've truly lost everything, then you literally have nothing to lose. And so now you can explore and play and find out who you are, because you've lost everything. There's nothing. The only way is up from this point. And that's when I, came out of the closet. And that's when I really started investigating what spirituality was and who I was in that. I was a very closed off person because of the abuse that I had as a kid. I was very closed in and shuttered and disassociated from everything, and I became this perfect person. I was just the perfect everything until I destroyed my life. And I did it. It was me that did it. And I think my doing it was a cry for help. It was the only way I could think of to save my family, which is ultimately what destroyed it. And I think it was part of my coming out story. I once heard somebody say that, that's something that they did that was unfortunate. They said, well, that was part of my coming out story. That doesn't make it okay. It doesn't excuse it, but it gives it understanding. And so now once you have understanding and you realize that you are just human and you're not perfect, then you can know that you can either judge yourself or you can take wisdom from it. It's your choice. You can either let the wrapping paper that's ugly tell you that what's inside is ugly as well, or you can look past the wrapping paper and you can say there's a golden opportunity in here. And I'm here to tell you from my life experience, those broken places in you, those hard places to look at, those spaces those shadows, those places you hide from, those things that make you tear up, those things that you don't want to talk about. That's your gold. That is your strength. That is your source of joy. And it makes no sense, but it's absolutely the truth. Absolutely. It has been in my life experience. So I just wanted to convey what's been true for me, what the angels have meant for me. That's why I always try to convey. I try not to be so scholarly and try to be more relational as far as my teaching on the angels, because they literally are here with me 24/7. They lay down at night with me. They wake up in the morning with me. They're there through the night. They're through the entire day. I can see them and feel them and hear them, and I can sense them, and I can see the signs that they are there, all the time, when things happen and when things don't happen. And I call forth their energy with perfect angelic timing and perfect angelic health and perfect angelic abundance, because if we can get into the angelic realm, which is the true highest God source energy, we can understand who we truly are, what our potential is, and really what our mission here is on life. And I may talk a little bit more about how that was revealed to me this past summer. So I hope that meant something to someone. If someone heard it and knows of somebody that needs to hear that, or they need to hear it, if 10 mean people tell me this is terrible and one person got something out of it, then I am so grateful. I know I got something out of it. So that's all I'm in charge of. And I'm just going to say thank you for listening. And hey, while I've got you, have you ever wondered more about the angels, who they are, how they can help you in your life, and what you can do, and what your full potentiality is? How do you live in joy? How do you have peace? How do you have health and abundance and good relationships? And just how can you traverse the angelic realm and finally let go of the pain and suffering that you are going through right now in whatever is in your life? You ever wondered? I would love for you to join my free private Facebook group, Divine Angelic Manifestors. You'll see the link at the end of this video, or down below rather, but go to facebook.com/groups/Divine Angelic Manifestors. It's free, it's private. I would love to see you there. Love, peace, release.